Hey everyone, welcome to Altitude. I'm your host, Woody Woodworth. Fantastic show today with a fantastic guest. We have Cameron Lin joining us today. He is the director of partner development at Microsoft and is in charge of a portfolio of over 300 partners. So when you're talking about partnership with cloud, this guy knows exactly the scoop, exactly what's going on. Cameron, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Woody. Great to be here.
So many questions I want to ask you. So we're just going to slide into it gracefully here because partnership is so key in today's industry, especially with cloud and cloud enterprise. So the first question off the top of my head is, what does it mean to be a Microsoft partner? How do you choose them? How do you vet them? Can anyone just knock on the door of Microsoft and say, hey, we want to be an ISV? Or what is the selection process kind of like?
That's a great question. Yes, actually, everybody can be a partner, called the Microsoft AI Cloud Partner Program. And anybody can sign up for the program. And then there's definitely different resources and benefits that you get based upon metrics, right? So there's definitely two types of partners that we see a lot of in my portfolio. So ISVs is a predominant type of my portfolio, and then also services partners. The MAICPP program offers benefits for both of those categories. And then on the Microsoft side, what we're really looking for are solutions that leverage Microsoft technologies. So if you're on the SI side, providing consulting and services around our platform, or partners that are built on Microsoft like Aviatrix.
And you are also in charge of the Microsoft co-sell program, correct? Or you broadly oversee it or are deeply involved with it?
Well, we're at Microsoft, so I'm not in charge of anything. The co-sell program is a part of that broader umbrella program. So there's people at corporate that administer the rules and how it all operates. What my team does is help partners take advantage of co-selling with Microsoft or engaging with Microsoft sellers, taking advantage of other benefits that are a part of that program, like incentives or marketplace rewards. So it's a very broad program. Part of the challenge is it's a very broad program and it can be a little confusing. And so my team is there really for partners that are newer in the game to figure out how to operationalize that against their own business models.
Gotcha. So, there are all the obvious benefits that you talked about, being able to co-sell, getting incentives and other flex capabilities through just the might of Microsoft, right? You're jumping into a really cool pond with a lot of potential, a lot of kinetic energy, a lot of programs. What are some other benefits that might not be so obvious that you think partners get?
I've been at Microsoft now almost as long as I was on the other side working with Microsoft.
Yeah.
I've worked with all the big partners. And so one of the things I loved working about Microsoft, and I love working about being at Microsoft is we're partner first. So that's the biggest value that I see is that Microsoft really does care about partners. And it's through everything. It's through our marketing, through our sales, through our engineering organization. So I've always enjoyed that aspect of working with Microsoft. In my program, what the real big benefit is there's someone to talk to. So there's someone to be a guide. Like if you're traveling and you're going to a new country, it's always nice to have local. And so we're the local that helps partners take advantage of Microsoft because we're a big organization and there's definitely places you can get lost.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's many angles and facets to a partnership, right? And it can be really hard to optimize your path to success through all these various programs and incentives. And so having that tour guide, if you will, can be huge. Certainly, I think Microsoft has been uber successful there. Talk to me a little bit more about the heritage of Microsoft as a partner first organization. Of course, full disclosure to our listeners, and I'm sure my regular listeners and subscribers have heard me go on about this forever, but I was at Microsoft for 7 years. So I know a little bit about how the partnership angle works and a little bit about the company culture, but I'd like to double click into that. Microsoft has always seemed to have very strong partner culture and deep ties to enterprise. There's some obvious reasons and maybe some subtle reasons as to why that is. And what are your thoughts on that?
Well, we're always focused on helping our customer. And I don't think we have all the answers for our customer, right? So I think it starts there. And it also starts at the top of Satya. I think it's always been there. Wouldn't say Satya is the only one, but I would say all our leadership has been that way, but it started to get a lot clearer with Satya around Azure. Now with AI, we're definitely going down the same path because you see it because I'm living on the partner side. So I see it every day.
Yeah.
when I was working with corporate was we're establishing new business, whether it was Teams kind of through COVID. Now we're working on AI, but we don't really feel like a business is successful until the partners are making money. Right. So, and successful means sustainable. This is a long-term business. Like we can drive it, but we need the ecosystem to really help accelerate it.
That's a fantastic answer. I couldn't agree more. I can wax poetic a little bit. I was at Microsoft just briefly before Satya transitioned into his current role, of course, as CEO. And so I had the benefit of watching the corporate culture change from, the old guard, I should say, into the company that Satya envisioned. And I think the company that Microsoft is today. And just from my personal perspective, that transformation was wonderful. Not that the old guard had a bad corporate culture, but in terms of Satya's vision of what he wanted Microsoft to do and how he wanted Microsoft to be more deeply involved in the lives and outcomes of people. And I know I haven't read his book. That sucks to say. He's got an amazing book, and I should have when I was at Microsoft. I won't hold your feet to the fire. I mean, I don't know if you've read it or not. I've heard, of course, great things about it. But I just think Satya has a very unique history and background, and that has really shaped who he is and how he wants, Microsoft to be. And the thing I think I would emphasize, just again, in my personal perspective, is the focus on the human that he really brought to the company and to the person. And whether that means just focusing on how they operate as customers or how we need to look at people with disabilities, how we need to be inclusive. And that inclusiveness was a big deal to me. And I think a big deal to a lot of people at Microsoft. So not sure you would agree with that, probably. If you want to add on to that, would love to hear it.
Yeah, I do agree. I'm here because of the culture.
Yeah.
It is demonstrable, right? Like it is a differentiator for me personally. When leadership says we care about you, it matters, right?
Yeah.
And so it does go from C all the way down, and there's lots of layers, and it's a huge organization. But to lead with integrity, to lead with people first, it's impressive. And you don't always know, right? Like I started here almost here as long as you've been. You were at Microsoft, but when you start, you see it from the outside, and you go, you meet people at events, and you go, we're selling together. This could be good. And then you go to the other side, and you're like, oh, whoa, it really is real, and it is really impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of people at Microsoft feel the same way, or should feel the same way. It's interesting how that company culture starts becoming apparent to you from the moment you start working there. It really is amazing how it comes from the top down and kind of matriculates and grows and is present. It's a wonderful aspect of the company. Satya is just such an influential, charismatic person. He as leader has been transformational, I think. So, of course, the question everyone is wanting us to address, and we'll get to that, is how has Satya's vision for AI, and especially through partnerships that are surrounding AI or embedded with AI, how is that changing the company culture once again? And what is it like to be at Microsoft at such an exciting time as it is now? We'll get to that. So people, hold on to your horses. I want to unpack partners a little bit more, because I know some folks that might be listening to this podcast would be interested in becoming a Microsoft partner or exploring that potential further. So what separates a good partner from a great partner?
I think a great partner thinks about partnering as a part of the business and not as a secondary part of the business, right? So I think that's really important. It's a part of how they go to market or how they sell. So some businesses, it's like we have direct sales, we market and sell our solution, and we're responsible for everything. And then secondarily, as we go, we need to grow. And so we go, oh, I need to build a partner channel. That one's always a little harder to work through. That's kind of the company I started out with in my Microsoft journey, where we bolted it on after we were going. In that scenario, it just takes a lot more to get the culture kind of moving in a direction where the company doesn't have all the answers. So that's a little bit challenging. I think the other one is just curiosity, flexibility. Like Microsoft has a way we do that. We have a program working in how we were trying to orchestrate thousands and thousands of sellers. And so sometimes I hear partners that have been doing it for a long time, and that isn't always a benefit, because, when we were doing this in 2000, it was a different world, totally different world.
Yeah.
Different scale. Right. And so today the scale on how we operate, like I am in awe of the scale that Microsoft operates in. and I'm in it. When I was on the outside, I remember talking to one of my close friends and saying, well, this rep won't call me. And he goes, well, how big is your deal? I'm like, well, it's $1 million. He goes, good deal. And so it still needed to be bigger to get on radar. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that is that's hard to understand, especially like when you're on the other side and every big deal matters, which every big deal for us matters as well. It's different kind of scales. Being flexible, being curious about how it works at Microsoft leads to better success, right? Versus, well, let's do it this way because this is how it's always worked. I'm like, oh, dude, I wish it always worked that way. Every 6 months, I'm finding a new way of how it works, right? So it really is that ability to be flexible, curious, and figure out patterns that work because there's many patterns that work at Microsoft. I've seen everything work. Some work better than others.
Mm-hmm. Focusing on cloud for a little bit, which of course is my cup of tea and cloud infrastructure, but just cloud broadly. It's no secret that Azure continues to grow in all avenues of success in terms of impact, in terms of size, in terms of revenue, in terms of solutions, in terms of go-to-market. And if you're the kind of person like me that's paying attention to the various media outlets and financial reports that are tracking cloud competitiveness, Cloud Wars being the one that, I favor. When you look at them from an aggregate, it's also pretty clear that Azure has a lot of momentum and might in the next, who knows, 3 to 5 years, maybe sooner, move into the pole position, right? Especially on the winds of AI and all of the success there. I feel that that's not necessarily inevitable, but probable. That's just my opinion. Not that the other cloud providers are standing still and not that they're not brilliant and innovative, but there's something special going on at Microsoft right now that is giving them tremendous tailwind and momentum. How does the partner ecosystem play into that momentum from your opinion?
Well, one of the reasons we're having success is because of our partner ecosystem.
Right.
It has a huge part to play. All the cloud providers are great. It's just, I think in Microsoft, that partner first does start to showcase itself, our breadth of solution that we provide, our platform, and then leading with AI. I think that is definitely going to make it be a huge change. We have a lot of customers, right? So I've always found that attractive in selling with Microsoft. And when you're working with big organizations and you're from the outside, you want to know that the sales team cares and the sales team will engage, right? And that's one of the biggest challenges is in these big organizations is to get that right and to get that going. And I don't think we're perfect at it. It works. There is an intent behind it, right? It's not like we're just casually going along and saying, well, we'll talk to this partner. We'll talk to this partner. There's definitely a process that we go through to make sure we get engaged properly.
So let's get into it now. Obviously, Microsoft's deep partnership with OpenAI was a surprise and to some a shock in the industry, and just how far ahead of the curve that partnership placed Microsoft in the AI arena. I don't know to what degree that was, how long that was incubating and how long that was kind of one of these Steve Jobs kind of quote unquote special projects, dark ops projects that help the company pivot once again. What has it been like to work at Microsoft since the announcement of that partnership? I mean, you're the guy you're not just with front row seats, right? You're out on the court in that game. Has it been a mad rush for you of people that are just so excited and thrilled and are just banging your door down to get in on the AI momentum and the AI capability on the partner side?
That's a really interesting question. So our fiscal year starts in July. And so there was AI involved at the beginning, but I would say it was like a slow build and now it's getting a lot faster. Part of it is us incorporating, showcasing the way. So a lot of stuff that Microsoft does will model for the rest of the world on how we want to do AI responsibly, how we want to incorporate it in our solutions and our products. So we're in Q3 going into Q4. Q3 has been, we're all in and we're seeing it come through our own use of AI internally. And then our education of our partners and our community and our customers, how we guide and adoption, right? It's been announced and it's coming out in Q4. But as we go into our new year, I think it'll be frenetic pace, right? Like it's already very fast, but it's going to pick up. There's a ton of questions on how a customer, how a partner integrates it, but all signs are it's a big game changer.
Yeah.
We just did a big session together as a partner organization in the Americas, and it was a big topic across our partner ecosystem that was there and a part of the product team that came out. It is definitely top of mind, right? Like if 3 things are talked about, it's probably 1, 2, and then 3.
Right. So this next topic is related to that. And I'm going to choose my words carefully because it's a hot button topic, but that's what we're here to do on this podcast. In my opinion, we're here to tackle the hot button topics and unpack them and think about them. And Cameron, I think you're the, of course, ideal person to do this topic based on your tenure and experience and your general worldview. You know, partnerships are bidirectional. You give to get on both sides. But there is, in my opinion, a sense of stewardship, especially with a company as large and successful as Microsoft through partnerships insofar as, hey, you're reselling our services. We're being better together. We're building better outcomes for our customers. There's better ways to go about this than others. So part of your partnership org must also be helping partners use Microsoft services and capabilities in the best ways. And then you fold that into AI with stewardship. And now the question is, with all of the churn on AI and the potential downside of it, how important is good stewardship of partners in the AI realm, right? Because AI can be used for many outcomes. Do you think there's a strong role for your org to help shape those outcomes with your partners to make sure they're using this new power in the right way that's beneficial versus harmful? Or is there some other mechanism in Microsoft that would help with those outcomes?
The short answer is yes. I think what we're doing is a lot of internal adoption, making sure our own, like I'm going through training, I'm using it on a day-to-day basis, finding out what the best use cases are for it to help you or help me with my job. We are doing heavy training. So I know when our solution, like there are partners that have launched with co-pilots and are talking to customers today. We were heavily involved in working with them to launch those solutions, right? They were working with our product teams. That's why I said it was a slow build, right? Because we were doing a lot of things behind the scenes to make sure that we were thinking through all that's going on. Like I have a legal team that some of our customers and partners are wanting to make sure that they understand the ramifications of it from a legal perspective, right? So I have a legal group that says, hey, here's what we did as we are trying to do this from a responsible, ethical way. And this is kind of the guidelines that we have been working with our customers and our partners around. So there's all aspects. You can go from legal to sales to product. The sales teams, as you know, have a whole organization around like that specialty team that is working with our customers around it. So I know from a customer's perspective, this has been a high interest topic. And so that team from a technical perspective has been out there. And then on our side, America's GPS, I can't say enough about our tech team. They've been on the forefront, making sure we have the right journeys so that our partners can understand from wherever they are in the process. Like I have one partner, they've been doing AI for 10 years, right? So it's not like new to them. And so they're not at the generative AI step. They're at a different step, right, in the journey. And then I have other partners that are just trying to incorporate generative AI or other components. A few years ago, there was one that was doing some AI around audio, right? So it's definitely been out there. It's just, I think we have a lot better perspective at Microsoft, how to do it as a whole, as a part of the business, right? Not as just a one-off, but as a part of the business. And that education process is, going out full force. My partner in crime, who does a lot of our recruiting, just did a whole roadshow around the Americas talking about how to incorporate AI into their conversations.
Man, that was a fantastic answer. That's incredible how much thought and effort goes into that stewardship, right? Especially surrounding AI, because it is such a powerful technology, even compared to what we've seen in recent years. And of course, to quote Stan Lee, along with great power comes great responsibility. But it's enlightening and cool, for lack of a better term. It's awesome to see just the layers of education and effort, thought on your side that are being put into that, because obviously everyone at Microsoft that's involved with AI is aware of these outcomes and are trying to do the best thing. And again, me waxing poetic, being personal, I can't think of a better CEO to be in charge of that than Satya, because really it's about the culture. It's about the mindset of the company that has this great power and responsibility. And so I feel if anyone would be a good steward of this, it would be him. That's just my personal opinion for the podcast. Switching gears again, what does the future of your partnership org look like? I mean, Microsoft is never standing still. It's always growing and changing. What do you think the next 3 or 4 years are going to look like?
I don't know. Things are changing so fast. I think from partnership perspective, our goal is really to make it simpler for partners to engage with our customers. So, we're wanting our partners that are invested in our technologies to have wild success. And so I think our intent over the next 3 or 4 years is to continue to make the program simpler and get closer to driving that success with our partners. Every partner program is challenging, right? Because you're trying to partner. And so it takes a concerted effort with our leadership. That is the intent of what we're trying to do right now, is trying to get it simpler, easier, faster to see our ROI for our partners.
Awesome. And then Cameron, I'd like to turn the camera directly on you, so to speak, for a little bit. We talked a lot about the program and AI and all these other ancillary things, but what drives you? What motivates you? Like when you get up in the morning to work with all these amazing partners, what is the favorite part of your job? What do you look forward to the most?
It's always been the people. So I love working with lots of people, helping people drive success. So that's what gets me excited. I think where at the stage of my career is really trying to help people find out who they really are and have wild success. For me, that was a journey. It didn't just like magically happen. Like, oh my God, I did really well in high school. Oh, my college career was bad. Like, it wasn't like a golden path. The yellow brick road was not obvious to me as I went out. And so it's really trying to help other people really find out who they are and then do the career. I have 2 kids that are definitely launching their careers, like at 17 and 19. And so just trying to help them have the most joy they possibly can in life and find careers that are meaningful to them. I think for me, it was definitely a lot of work to get to that point, to like, I'm where I want to be. It would be great to be there where I want to be 20 years younger, but this is where I'm at. I'm trying to help them get to that, get to where they can find that same joy.
Yeah.
And not be in such turmoil as you go through it. Cause there's teenage angst is a thing. Your 20s has its own level of entertainment, right? And so I've always tried to make sure, like for my children and for people that I work really close to, is if you're grounded in who you are and your own values, then everything else is easy. It's really trying to find opportunities for other people to be successful. So it's more using my network and my capabilities to help people, be wildly successful.
Awesome. Cameron, I want to thank you for coming on the show and for all of your amazing knowledge and insights. It's always such a pleasure for me to have this special half an hour with my guests. I always end up learning so much and just thinking deeply about things that I've never thought about before. So thank you for helping me with that journey. And thank you for your time. It's been a real pleasure.
Thanks, Woody. It's a pleasure. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.